There's a really big mistake a lot of graphic designers are making on book covers that can actually hurt your sales because something about it feels awkward and uneasy, but not a lot of people can pinpoint why. But I can, because I'm a professional photographer and designer of 2 decades, and there's a lot of information that book cover designers just don't think of or authors don't think of. And it comes down to, in this case, lighting. And this is especially important if there's more than one model on your cover, but even if there's only one, this plays into how we perceive those covers and whether they look realistic or whether they look homemade, like we just slapped some stuff together. So let me break this down for you. When it comes to having models on your book cover, you do need to make sure the lighting is the same for each of those models that you're using. The light source must be coming from the same place. Even if we're just talking about a book cover with one person, the light source has to be coming from the correct place. Otherwise, it looks unnatural. It looks like they slapped it together rather than an actual scene. So let's talk a little bit about lighting. I've got my pocket light here to show you some examples. And when I say that the light source has to come from the right place, it has to come from the right place based on the shadows and the highlights on the face. So right now, I am going to pull up my light. I'm going to show you what I mean with this. So we've got the light here. Let me dial this up so that it's nice and bright for you. If I have my light source over here, you can see I've got highlights on this side and shadows over on this side. I'm gonna move it right here so you can see it a little better. All of my shadows are falling right here along the nose, this side of my cheek, under my chin. The higher I hold it, it's coming from different angles. So now I've got shadows down here, shadows over here, but a bright highlight over here. If I have a flat light where the lighting is coming straight on, like I do with these models, you can see how their faces are lit, but you've got a little bit of shadow around it. So if we hold it like this, you can see where those shadows are going to fall, nice flat light. So if we have one model with nice flat light and then another that had been photographed with the lighting over here, so we've got harsh shadows on one side of the face and bright highlights on the other, they do not belong in the same scene. The lighting is coming from 2 different places, so you can tell those things are photoshopped together. If you have one model with bright highlights and then dark shadows and then one that has flat light, it looks unnatural because they weren't in the same scene. Your lighting needs to be from the same place. So if you have overhead lighting where we've got shadows under the eyes, shadows under the nose, shadows under the chin, both models need to have that overhead lighting. Even if we're going with the conversation of a single model, your light source dictates where the light will be around them. So where is the light coming from? If you are going to be doing something where we've got that overhead light and we've got the shadows under the eyes, under the eyebrows, under the nose, under the lip, under the chin, then your light source, your sun, your moon, your wherever, it has to come from up here. If all of a sudden you've got this where the light is coming from overhead, so you've got the highlight up here and the shadows under all the things, but your sunrise is behind you, that doesn't make any sense, right? Your shadows dictate where your lighting has to be, or where the sun, where the moon, where the candles, where the fireplace, where the whatever has to be. And it also has to be the same color tone. So if your lighting, if your shadows, if all of those things are going to be a white-based light, you're probably not going to see a fireplace which casts more of that orangey yellow glow as your light source. If you have magic here, you're going to have blue tones, purple tones, red tones, whatever that color is touching. You can see on my model, she has blue light on her hair. I did that as I was designing it to make sure she matched those magically elements around the light source. So when we look at book covers, if we're seeing models with 2 different light sources, different harsh shadows in different locations, if we are seeing discolored light, and if we are seeing something well lit from the front, but the sunset from behind and no shadows and no anything else without a light source very clearly coming from the foreground between the model and the camera or the lens, the eye lens, you are going to have a book cover that looks and feels out of place. It's going to look photoshopped. So when it comes to book covers, you want to make sure you're paying attention to the light source. And when you're picking models for your cover, pick models with the same lighting. The best thing that you can do is look for that flat lighting because it gives you more options and more availability, and you can add in shadows and highlights if it's flat lit. If it's harsh lighting on one side and not the other, there's not a lot you can do to fix that up. So you have to make sure you're looking for models that have almost the same or preferably the same lighting that you can work with. You also need to make sure, and this is really important, please lean in on this one, that they do not have harsh lighting on one side and not the other side. And then you do like 2 dark shadows in the middle. My face is in shadow here, his face is in shadow here, right? Because where are those light sources coming from? Are they coming from either side? Maybe. But if you find models, and this is the important part, if you find models that have one side in shadow and one side in light, and you want to use them both, but they're on the wrong side, your designer can flip one of them. Just flip one of those characters, and now all of a sudden the lighting matches. Then you need to make sure you're paying attention to where the lighting is on the cover. Where is that lighting coming from? If it's coming from above, we've got those highlights in the hair, and we've got the colorful highlights in the hair. If we're getting that flat light, then we don't need to worry about it too much because we know that the light source is coming from beyond the camera. If we have characters who are in dark shadow, we must have a lighting source behind us because if it is going to be, I won't turn this on, but if we have the light behind us, it casts shadows this way, right? Look at where my hand is. If I have my hand here, it's casting shadows on my face because it's between me and my light source. So pay attention to the shadows, pay attention to the highlights, pay attention to the light sources, and then when things are designed together, make sure it is cohesive because that is going to help you sell more books. Because people don't know why it looks awkward, people don't know why it feels a little uneasy, but if you point it out, then it makes all the sense in the world. Paying attention to this while you're designing covers, picking elements for covers, picking cover designers is important. If you go through a designer's portfolio and it's just mismatched lighting all over, don't work with them. Do not work with them. It's not going to work to your benefit and can cost you sales. If you have questions on this, now is the time to drop them. Like I said, I'm a professional photographer and professional designer of 2 decades. I have gone through thousands of hours of training. I have put in thousands of hours of work. I am a leader in the photography industry for many, many years. I have taught lighting. I have taught composition. I've taught graphic design. I've done this for a very long time, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions. I am more than happy to help look at your covers when working with a designer if you're noticing some of these things so that I can help you to give specific points and notes to discuss it with your cover designer to make sure things are tweaked properly. Because sometimes you can actually tweak it. It's not always do or die when it comes to this. Sometimes it is tweakable and we can fix it. We can make some adjustments to make it look more realistic. And I'm happy to have that conversation with you so you can have that conversation with your designer. Or if you just want a designer that you know you can trust who has done really well with book covers for me and for other authors and for other publishers, you are welcome to go to Cover a Day where I make covers, both pre-made and custom covers for you guys. We've actually got a whole bunch of videos here on the channel where I design book covers live in real time. I used to do them on live streams all the time. And so my readers and my followers and my fans would come and tell me, do this, do that, challenge you to do this. And I would create the covers live on air and show you and talk about the different tools, how I was doing it so that you can learn these things to have better communication with your cover designers as well. Drop your questions down below, coveraday.com if you want to check it out. And as always, follow along for daily videos helping you navigate the world of publishing, from your writing to your publishing to your marketing, to make this your best life ever, most profitable author life, while also still living a life. Because we love an author life, but we also love a life. We'll see you in the upcoming episodes.